The jury.
Officer Rodney Phipps,
Where are you employed?
Madison Precinct, Metro Nashville Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Metro Police Department?
Almost 7 years.
What is your present assignment?
I'm an FTO on patrol,
What is an FTO?
field training officer.
Does that mean you're one of the initial officers that a graduate from the police academy is assigned to during his probationary or training period?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been in that position?
A little over a year.
Were you working in Madison Precinct back in August of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your particular, is it a zone, is that what it's called?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain what a precinct is and what a zone is?
Precinct has, for example, Madison Precinct takes care of the Madison area. We have a total of seven zones in that area. We have the 10s and then the 20s. The area I'm particularly in, it's 25 zone. It covers from basically due West Avenue all the way up to the county line and from I-24 to I-65.
Now, back in August of 2017, was this the same area that you were primarily patrolling?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long had you been patrolling that area?
I've been patrolling that area for a little over 4 years now.
And specifically, are you familiar with a trailer park subdivision called Hillview Mobile Home Park?
Yes, ma'am. It's on East Campbell Road.
And is that in fact in your zone that you patrol?
It's almost in the center of it.
And if I can, I'd like to show you Exhibit 2A. And while we're waiting for that to come up, that particular subdivision trailer home park, is that located here in Nashville-Davidson County?
Yes, ma'am.
If you can, and I've kind of pulled this in a little bit, can you explain what road this is here?
Well, this is going to be Old Dickerson Pike, right, that runs right across from, right in front of the trailer park. East Campbell is going to be...
I'm going to back this up so you can show us the other portions too.
Okay.
Touch the screen.
Okay. East Campbell Road is going to be right up here. This is Old Dickerson Pike leading down through here. This is East Campbell. I believe that one's East Campbell.
Okay.
And this one down here is going to be, well, you got Dickerson Pike coming down through here, and it branches off to Old Dickerson Pike there.
So Old Dickerson branches off from Dickerson.
Yes, ma'am.
And can you put a kind of a circle where the trailer park?
Trailer's right about, it's a bad picture,
I've
but
got a better picture for the trailer. Just
yeah,
the trailer park.
it's right, let's see, it's right in that area, right there. There's a tree there, and it's like one or two trailers over from that tree.
Well, we will. Before we get to that, were you working, what shift were you working on August the 10th of 2017?
I work mid-shift,
Okay, what hours would that be?
2:30 in the afternoon to 11 at night.
And as a patrol officer, how do you learn that you're needed in a certain area?
I get dispatched from a call.
That would be over your radio?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember getting dispatched to a call as specifically to Lot C2 at 1229 Old Dickerson Pike?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a home in that trailer park you just indicated?
It's a trailer in that trailer park.
What was the nature of the call?
It came out as a cop language as 64. Put it in more layman terms as a dead body call.
Okay. And when you respond to such a call, are you responding with your emergency equipment?
Yes, we respond lights and sirens.
And while you may work that zone, are there other officers that also respond to those high-level types of calls?
Yes, ma'am. They'll pull from other zones if need be.
Particularly, and you may or may not remember, but do you remember a approximately what time it was, or what type of day it was? When you
Well, it was in the summertime. It was, I don't remember what time it was exactly. I know it was daylight when we got there on scene, and it was in the summertime.
And specifically, I'm going to show you, it's a little bit easier to see, Exhibit 2B. Can you tell us how many entrances there are to this particular?
There's exactly 2 entrances to that trailer park.
And where are the 2 entrances?
2 entrances are both coming off Old Dickerson Pike. The first entrance is, it's like right over here in this
Okay.
area. The other one's over here. This is going to be the entrance where you got the A, what we call the A side.
Can you explain, first of all, the trailer lots, are they given letters and numbers?
They're given letters and numbers. Every trailer has a letter and a number.
Okay. And can you describe the layout?
The left side of the trailer park on this side is going to be your A, what we call the A side, because all the trailers on your left starts with A. The trailers on the far right side, this side, those trailers on the right are all C's. All the trailers in the middle, they begin with B and they start working down through the trailer park, B's and D's. And then once it gets to the back, you got your E's, F's, and so on.
And is this basically one of those situations where you go into the park, you can go in one way, but you have to come out the other way or the same way? There's no other road?
You can go in and out. There's actually there's 2 roads back in here. It's a U-shaped trailer park where you can go all the way around either way. There's no direct where you have to go in this way and you have to go in that way. So you can go in either way. And there's 2 roads in between a set of trailers where you can cross over to the other side if need be.
But would you have to go in and out one of those 2 entrances?
Yes.
Now, specifically, which entrance did you go in?
I went in through the seaside.
And when you came in the seaside, did you keep your lights and sirens on, or do you cut them off at some point?
Yeah, I cut my sirens off as I entered the trailer park.
And why do you do that?
We do that try to sneak up on people, to tell you the truth.
Gotcha. And so when you pulled in, did you know pretty much when you got the call where the trailer C2 was?
I had an idea where it was, yes, ma'am.
And was that just based on your knowledge of the park?
Yes, I've been there so many times.
But had you been to that particular trailer on calls?
No, my trouble trailers are a little bit further down.
Understood. So when you arrived, what did you first notice when you pulled into the park?
As I was pulling in and getting out of the vehicle, I saw the mother coming out of the trailer, hollering and waving at me.
When you say she was hollering and waving, how would you describe her demeanor?
Very frantic. I don't believe she didn't speak any English to me that whole time. She just wanted me to come with her and very quickly back into the trailer.
Now, at this point, you may or may not have taken note, but were you able to tell whether or not there were any children outside the trailer area?
I know there were. I don't know if they were children or not. I know there was a few other individuals off to the left hand side of me.
Okay, but you were focusing primarily.
I was primarily focusing on her. I had other officers coming in behind me. So.
How did you know you had other officers coming in behind you?
Officer Sampson and I just finished getting off of a call approximately a mile and a half away from this location. We just checked off the call when this one came out, so I knew she was right behind me.
So do you wait for Officer Sampson to come, or do you go ahead and go in?
It depends on the situation. Being that I knew Officer Sampson was right behind me, or she was in the very near vicinity, I went ahead and went on in because I knew she was going to come up and back me up later.
Did Ms. Velasquez go with you into the trailer?
Yes, she took me into the trailer.
And where did she take you?
To the main bedroom, master bedroom.
When you went to the main master bedroom, did she go in the room with you, or did you go?
She kind of directed me toward it. She kind of hung back a little bit so I could get through there. It's a small doorway, and I got a lot of equipment on to get in.
And I ask you, absent the blue dot that has been placed there to cover a section of the photograph and the medical strips, does that picture fairly and accurately depict what you saw when you walked into that
Yes,
bedroom?
ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, we would ask that this photograph be introduced as the state's next exhibit, and in just a moment, have an opportunity to publish it to the jury.
All right, that's exhibit number 10.
Before we go into the picture, can you describe what you did when you went into the room?
When I went into the room, I noticed her. I kind of directed the mother out real quick. About that time, Officer Sampson was coming up. I directed Officer Sampson to take her on out. I then went back to the room, checked pulse real quick, noticed that she had been deceased at that time.
Now, even if a person is obviously deceased on the scene, is it standard practice once the EMTs, medical personnel show up, that they standard practice will put on the little pads and run a
Yes, ma'am.
to confirm death?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that done?
Yeah, I mean, the medical personnel was on scene probably 2 minutes after we arrived.
Officer Phipps, can you describe where in the room Johanna Ortega was found?
She was found on the left side of the room between the dresser and the bed.
And was there a small amount of space between that bed and whatever this black object is to the side?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this the condition in which you found the clothing absent the blue dot?
Yes, ma'am.
And these little blue and white items on here, would that be consistent with the medical strips that we were talking that EMTs will place to confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
officially? What, if anything, did you notice about?
I'm sorry.
What, if anything, did you notice about Johanna Ortega's injuries?
She had ligature marks on her neck at the time. I could tell something was wrong. It was confirmed a couple seconds later after medical personnel got there that they even noticed that she had ligature marks on her neck.
And we're seeing here items and underneath her body that she's lying on top of. Was she lying on top of those items when you came in the room and found her in this condition?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the rest of the room similar to this with items strewn
Yes.
throughout?
There was clothes all over the room.
Did you remain on the scene and assist in securing the crime scene until other officers arrived?
Yes. I made sure nobody entered other than medical personnel. One other officer did enter the trailer with me, Officer Miller, and after we left that room, we just cleared the rest of the trailer to make it safe.
Can you describe what you mean by clearing the rest of the trailer?
We go through the structure to make sure that there's no suspects in the area or other bodies in the area. We're just doing a real quick sweep of the area to make sure it's safe for everybody.
And did you determine that absent Johanna Ortega, that the trailer was empty?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you had done so, you said medical personnel arrived quickly, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But Miss Ortega was not taken from the scene for a while, correct?
She wasn't moved other than for the medical personnel to put the strips on her.
And what were the duties that you had for the rest of that evening?
I held the scene until we got detectives out. Then I assisted the other officers in putting up crime scene tape and making sure that we kept everybody out of the scene. Then went on with other officers to canvass the area for other witnesses or possibly talk to other people that may have seen or done something.
And what is canvassing?
That's when we go door to door and we talk to the neighbors or individuals in the area that we come across, find out any information they got, you know, whether they've seen something, heard something, something out of the ordinary.
And were there several officers and detectives that participated in doing the canvass of that and
Yes,
entire
ma'am.
trailer home?
Yes,
park?
ma'am.
Hang on just a moment, Ron. Now for the question, Charter.
All right, Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Phipps, so you were the first police officer to arrive on scene, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
And you were the first one inside that trailer as far as a Metro police officer.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, I believe one of the things you're concerned about when you go in there is to make sure the suspects are not on the scene.
Yes, sir.
Because you don't know what you're walking into.
That's correct.
But I would assume that when you go into that location, your senses are kind of on hyper mode. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Kind of heightened at that point.
Yes, sir.
You're looking for any kind of evidence or suspects or whatever may be coming around the corner.
Yes, sir.
And you did go through that mobile home and clear it.
Yes, sir.
And after you had done that, you found that there was no sign of forced entry.
Correct. Not that we could tell at the time.
And you documented that in your report.
Yes.
After you got the scene secured, which is standard, correct?
Yes.
You then assisted, as you said, in canvassing this mobile home park
Yes, sir.
that you're already familiar with.
Yes, sir.
I believe you said it's right in the center of your patrol area.
Pretty close. Yes, sir.
How many mobile homes are there in that community?
And there's a lot. I don't know the exact number but there is a lot.
It's one of the larger ones in the
It's
area. Correct?
probably the second largest in my area.
Close to 100 homes, would that be fair to say?
Without actually going out and counting, sure.
And you and other officers talked to as many people in that mobile home as you could then?
In the near vicinity, I know that for sure we did, yes.
And you did that until, I think, was it C-Flex came in?
Till we were relieved.
Okay. And as far as you know, there were no eyewitnesses?
I didn't talk to anybody that had seen or done anything that would draw my attention, no.
No one that had heard anything?
No.
That's all.
Read it right.
None, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. You're excused.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take our last break, 15 minutes. All rise.
All rise.
Be seated. Next witness.
Officer Brittani Sampson.
All right. Anybody there?
Do you swear to tell the truth, so help you God? I do.
Go ahead and state and spell your first and last name.
My name is Officer Brittani Sampson, Brittani Sampson.
Officer Sampson, what do you do for work?
I work for the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department currently as a detective.
Were you working for Metro Police Department back in August of 2017?
I was.
On August 10th of 2017, what was your assignment?
I was a Madison B Detail Patrol officer.
And was Officer Phipps one of the officers that was on your patrol detail?
Yes, he was on my detail.
When you were working as a patrol officer on August 10th of 2017, did you respond to a call at 1229 Old Dickerson Pike, trailer C2?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall the code of that call?
The code, the police code? It was a 64 Paul John.
And what is that a reference to?
It's a deceased juvenile in progress, possible.
Do you recall the approximate time that the call came in?
I believe it was around 18:55 hours.
What is that in?
Sorry, 6:55 p.m.
Okay.
And what did you do after you received the call?
I responded, lights and sirens to the scene.
And when you got to the trailer park, which entrance did you go in? The same one as Phipps or the other one?
It was not the same one as Officer Phipps.
And when you entered the trailer park, did you see anything as you were entering that got your attention?
When I was pulling up to the trailer that was on the left, because I pulled in the opposite way of Officer Phipps, when I first got there, I saw Mr. Roy Coons walking his white pit bull towards me, and he walked past the police car.
And the person who you know as Roy Coons, do you see him in the courtroom here today?
Yes, I do.
Could you please point him out?
He is wearing the blue shirt.
Does he look similar in physical appearance today as he did back when you saw him on August 10th?
Yes.
Okay, is there anything different about him today in terms of today versus August 10th?
His hair is longer.
When you saw him, you said you saw him walking his pit bull.
Yes.
Which way was he walking his pit bull?
The opposite direction from where I was going
Did you notice anything else about him?
that day. When I pulled in, he kind of motioned towards, it was like a half motion kind of towards the trailer, which he very well could have been motioning towards the other police car. I'm not sure. I was lost when I pulled in, so.
And I know that it happened fast, but when you say you saw a motion, can you do your best to describe what kind of motion you saw him do?
It was just kind of like a minor turn.
After you saw him, where did you go?
I went directly to the trailer.
When you arrived at trailer C2, what is the first thing you saw?
When I first arrived, I saw the family standing outside. I believe it was the brother and the sister. And then I entered the trailer briefly, and then I escorted the victim's mother out of the trailer.
After you escorted the mother out of the trailer, what did you do?
I stayed outside for a moment, and then I assisted Officer Phipps with securing the crime scene.
So when you come up and you see the brother and the sister in the yard, and then you see the mother, can you please describe for the jury what their demeanor was?
They were very frantic and upset. They wanted help. When we pulled up, the mother was motioning for us to come in. Officer Phipps went inside with her. I kind of stood back for a second and slowly went in behind her, and then he asked me to escort her out of the trailer.
Did you notice anything else about the mother?
She was just very upset. She just wanted her help to revive her child.
What happened? What did the family do after that while you were on the scene?
They remained on the scene, but we kept them close, but kind of on the outside so that they could wait and speak to detectives and a chaplain.
What, if anything, did you do to secure the scene?
Put up crime scene tape.
Was it you and other officers or just you?
It was me and other officers.
Once the perimeter of the secure tape is around a crime scene, what happens after that?
We just make sure that nobody else goes in or out other than the authorized personnel.
Did you encounter Mr. Roy Coons again?
I did.
Describe that.
When I first arrived on scene, obviously, I saw him, and he was one of the only people I saw out walking. So one of our duties given by a supervisor was to walk around and talk to neighbors. I talked to some neighbors. At the time, I thought I would go talk to Mr. Coons due to him being the only person outside. And he was around the area constantly, so I thought maybe he would have some information in regards to maybe if he saw anything or anything like that.
What happened next?
I went and approached him and asked him if he'd be willing to give me his information, any statements that, anything he may have seen, because he was walking when we got there.
Did he make any statements?
He said that he saw some children coming home from school, and that he had went to the mailbox at approximately 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
What else, if anything, did you notice about, for the time that you were on the scene, about Mr. Coons?
Just that he kept lingering around the area. It was abnormal to me, so I wanted to go talk to him about it. Maybe he had information to share. At the time, I wasn't sure.
Was anybody else at the scene who was at the trailer park lingering in the same manner as Mr. Coons?
No, everybody was pretty confused, but for the most part, people went back into their houses. They may have stood outside the crime scene tape for a minute because they were wondering what was going on. We were out there for quite a long time.
Did Mr. Coons ask you any questions?
He approached myself and one of my sergeants and asked if everything was okay. I can't exactly tell you which time frame that was in, sometime in the beginning.
Did you notice any physical disabilities with Mr. Coons?
I did not.
At any time, did you give Mr. Coons any info about the crime that happened inside the trailer?
No.
Those are all my questions.
Cross.
It's now Detective Sampson, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So Detective Sampson, you were the second officer to arrive on scene?
Yes, sir.
And when you arrived on scene, you noticed Mr. Coons, and he indicated where the other car was parked, the other police officer.
I mean, he may very well have been at the time. I was lost. I turned in. I'm not as familiar with the apartment, with the trailer park. So, I mean, it was the direction of the trailer, but it very well could have been the direction of the other officer.
Were you aware that Mr. Coons lived only about 2 trailers down from Lot C2 at that time?
Initially, no, until I went and spoke to him near his trailer later.
Okay. So when he was standing outside, he was actually standing outside his own trailer?
He was walking towards that direction, walking his dog.
So it wasn't like he was lingering a mile away from where he lived?
No, at the time, I didn't know he lived in the trailer nearby.
So there was nothing unusual about him being outside his own trailer when he was a big police presence?
And you could say that.
Well, I'm asking because of the state made it seem like he was doing something unusual being outside his own home. The police are there and there's something going on.
I mean, I thought it was abnormal due to the fact that we were out there for hours. Everybody else went back in, but
And other people didn't come and go during that time?
they came out and they went back in.
Okay. And did you have constant surveillance of Mr. Coons during that entire time?
No, I did not.
So whether he went back in his trailer for an hour and came back, you don't know?
I mean, I was not watching him the entire time.
So your assumption that it was abnormal behavior is based on
My perception, it was abnormal.
the perception when you didn't have him under surveillance?
Right.
And you did a report in this case, did you not?
No, I did not do the incident report. Or I did a supplement report, yes, where I hand wrote it.
You have a copy of that with you?
I do not.
You'd like to see a copy?
I've seen
Okay,
it.
good. Okay, let me ask you, did you note in your report that Mr. Coons was acting unusual?
I did to me. Well, I'm not sure. No, actually, I'm not sure. I don't recall.
This is a copy of your supplemental report. Looks like it's dated 8/27.
I know I spoke to the detectives about it, but I wasn't sure if I wrote it in the thing, in the report. Thank you. No, I didn't specifically put in here that he was acting abnormal.
Those are all my questions.
Redirect.
No redirecting.
Thank you, Detective.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next witness.
John Terry.
I didn't hear you.
Officer Terry. John Terry.
Do you swear to
Can you please state and spell your first and last name?
My name is John, common spelling with an H, last name Terry, T as in Tom, E-R-R-Y.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a crime scene investigator with Metropolitan Nashville Police Department.
What does a crime scene investigator do?
I'm on the civilian side, which means I'm not a sworn officer, but I work in the same capacity as a crime scene investigator. I go out to the scene, I will first observe, then I will document, and then I'll collect any evidence that may be necessary.
How long have you been in that position with the Metro Police Department?
Since 2015.
Do me a favor, turn that mic just toward the window a little bit because you're more facing more.
Okay.
There you go.
Is that good, sir?
Did you have that same assignment on August 10th of 2017?
Yes, I did.
What did you do before you got in that assignment?
I was an investigator with the Public Defender's Office.
What did you do in that job?
Investigated criminal cases as it related to the defense theory in Division 3.
Since you started working as a crime scene investigator for the police department, have you received any training in how to respond and process certain types of evidence?
Yes. We receive about 320 so hours of in-house training and on-the-job training. In addition to that, I've gone to a 10-week program at the National Forensic Academy, which is in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, rather. It's where the body farm is, Dr. William Bass, and we do everything over a 10-week period.
As a part of your experience in training, have you become familiar with how to take buccal swabs?
Yes, I have.
What is a buccal swab?
Buccal swab is a swab like a Q-tip that you would take, and you would swab it across the buccal mucus or the lining of the mouth and lips. It's the wet part that you sort of are on the cheeks of your jaws.
What's the purpose of doing that swab?
It's to remove DNA evidence. It's the best way.
What do you do when you take that swab in order to make sure that it's done correctly?
To correctly take it, you have what's are sterile swabs. You open the package after you've gloved yourself. You then take, usually the package comes in sets of two. When I do a buccal swab, I'll take one swab and I'll swab the left cheek. I'll take the other swab and I'll swab the right cheek. I'll then take the two, put them back into the packaging. I will seal that packaging. And if I have another swab to do on another person, I will change gloves and then do the process over again.
And once the swabs are in the packaging, where do they go from there?
The package is sealed with evidence tape. I'll initial that. I'll put it in a package similar to this one, and I will submit it to the property and evidence section.
Once it's in property and evidence, how is it stored securely?
Yes.
And when you submit something to property and evidence, is it documented, I guess, on the package and or in a report when you submit it?
When we submit it, it's submitted with an evidence sheet or property sheet, which is the Metro form. It's a 110 form, electronic form that we will submit along with a sample. That piece of paper and that ensures the chain of custody throughout the process.
On August 10th on the night of August 10th, 2017, and into the early hours of the 11th, did you become involved in this case?
Yes.
How did you become involved?
I was summoned to a conference room in the Madison precinct by Madison Investigation Sergeant and was asked to obtain buccal swabs on 4 different individuals.
Do you remember their names, or can you describe who they were?
It was, I believe, 3 Hispanic family members and their, I believe it was the minister. I can't remember their names specifically.
The 3 family members, were they adults or children?
They were all adult.
All 3 of them were adults?
To the best of my knowledge, I would have to refer to my case notes, see if I recorded their ages.
Go ahead and look at your case notes.
Pardon me?
Do you have your case notes with you?
I hope I have.
If not, I can pass you a copy of your property sheet. Would you have documented the personal information of those people on your property sheet?
I documented their names and the times the samples were taken, and identified their relationship to the victim, but I don't see where I recorded their.
That's okay. Go ahead and tell us their names.
Patricia Velasquez, Marlon Arteaga and Jocelyn Arteaga. Those were the 3 family members. And the gentleman that was a family friend, or I believe he was a minister, some relation, or some serving in that capacity, was Jaime del Carpio, if I'm saying that right.
And you've already been passed an object. Can you please describe what that is?
This is the packaging that I would put the DNA swabs inside. Actually, there are 4 sets, if you will, 1 set for each of the 4 individuals that are individually packaged inside this. This is a container that contains basically what's inside, my initials, the time it was taken and the date, and basically where those were taken.
And is that the same package that you used to submit the 4 swabs you've testified about to the property room?
Yes, this is my initial, time, date, my handwriting, and these are my initials across the seal on the back with the date.
Has to have that admitted as the state's Exhibit 11, Your Honor.
Yes, number 11.
Those are all my questions.
Cross.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're excused.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Next witness.
Douglas Belcher. Go ahead and state and spell your first and last name.
Douglas Belcher, Douglasbelcher.
And what do you do for a living?
I work at the crime scene unit at the Metropolitan Police Department.
Okay, are you an officer or civilian?
Officer,
Officer Belcher, how long have you worked for the crime scene unit with the police department?
going on 8 years now.
Were you working in that assignment in August of 2017?
Yes,
On August 12th of 2017, did you become involved in this case?
I did.
What was your involvement?
I responded to our medical examiner's office located in East Nashville and recovered some swabs that they had collected off the victim and then transported them back to Mass and to the crime lab and submitted them into property there.
And the exhibit that you've already been, the object you've already been passed, what is that object?
Is the swabs that I collected.
And can you tell that by looking at the identifiers on the package, that that's the same swabs that you submitted to property?
They are.
Is it in a sealed condition?
It is.
Those are all my questions. We'd like to have that admitted as State's Exhibit
Number
12.
No question, Your Honor. Okay, thank you, officer. You're excused.
Thank you, sir.
Next call, Detective Curtis Hafley, and if I could have given to me exhibit number 5, please.
Do you swear to tell the truth so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Yeah, Curtis Hafley, Curtis Hafley. I'm a detective with the Metro Nashville Police Department.
Where are you presently assigned?
I'm currently assigned to our cold case homicide unit.
Can you describe what that unit is?
Well, it is pretty much what it sounds like. We investigate a lot of all of the cold case homicides that we have here in Nashville. We also do other things as well. We respond out for any in custody death if someone dies in the jails or while they're under arrest. We work all the active missing persons cases, and we also respond out to the scene of every homicide that we have here in Nashville. And that's done usually in an on-call basis. Somebody's on call we're on call for a week at a time. So if a murder happens during that week, when you happen to be on call, then your phone will ring and you'll respond as well.
When you arrive in the cold case capacity to an active homicide scene, are you the lead detective?
Oh, no, ma'am.
What's your purpose for being there?
Our purpose for being there is, one, to keep us sharp and familiar with, the scenes and making sure we stay in practice with things. But we're also there more as an advisory role sometimes, because sometimes there'll be, questions or nuances at a scene that somebody else may not have seen before, and it might be something that we have, because most of us in our unit have worked a lot of homicides through the years.
How many detectives are there with the cold case unit?
There are seven of us in our office right now.
And an approximate number, can you give me an approximate number of precinct detectives that there are?
8 precincts, minimum of 9 per precinct. There are a couple of precincts that have, like the Hermitage precinct, because the area is so large, they have 20 or 25 detectives out there. South precinct probably has the same, the Antioch area, just because the area is so large and the amount of reported crime and thefts and things that they have, it just takes more people to do that. But smaller areas of town like East Nashville, I think they only have 9 there for that area, but it's 1/10 the size of what Hermitage is.
Prior to being placed in the cold case unit, what was your assignment?
I've been a detective since 2007 here with Nashville. I was at the East Precinct and the Midtown Hills Precinct, and then I was at our Office of Professional Accountability, our OPA, for a couple of months before I went to the cold case unit.
And as a precinct detective, well, where were you assigned in August of 2017?
With the cold case homicide unit.
So when you responded at that time, you were in that advisory or assisting role, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you respond to a scene at 1229 Old Dickerson Pike?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Do you remember approximately what time you arrived?
No, ma'am, it was late.
And were other police officers already on the scene?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Did you have an occasion to enter into the home at Lot C2?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Who did you enter in with,
Oh, yeah.
if you remember?
I don't at this second. Either an ID officer or maybe one of the lead detectives that was out there.
Once a scene is secured, are the number of people that are allowed into the crime scene, is that limited
Yes, ma'am.
even to other police officers?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there essentially only the people who have a purpose for being there are allowed in?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
So once you entered in, what was your purpose for entering in?
Just to, like I said, to assist, to see if there had been anything that had been missed, something that, just looking like that. Not to touch anything, not to collect anything, just to kind of view it and to see it. And another reason for that is in our office, the way it generally works is if you respond out to something in an advisory role like this on a murder and say it goes unsolved and it becomes one of our cold cases, well, who are they going to assign it to? Well, who better than the person who responded out there? So when you go out there, you want to look at it and to see the scene so you can have that memory of it. Photographs are great, but being there is it makes all the difference.
So what part of the home did you go to first?
I went in and saw was being directed through the scene, just for what was where and the rooms where people were, where the victim was down at the end of the hallway to the right. And I came back up through the kitchen and I was asking about anything up here. Is any of this out of place? Is there anything we need to do with this? Nobody knew. We were trying to get it together to get some photographs of that area, show it to the family, the mom, the sister, the dad, and whoever lived there, because they'll know if something's out of place. If you come into my house, you wouldn't know if my TV's in the wrong spot, but I would. So that was a reason for that.
Did you have an occasion to go into other areas of the home?
I did. Usually when we clear a house, and in my experience, when you go in, when you open a door and you've checked the room, you leave the doors open, so it's already secured and you've been there. So I got back to the kitchen area and I'm looking, and there was a door that was closed back in the back half of the house. I asked if anybody had checked that, and they were like, yeah, the house is clear. I'm like, well, who checked it? Well, I don't know. So I got some rubber gloves, opened up the door to look just to make sure, if this is a room that hadn't been checked, I didn't want our bad guy to be back there, hiding while we're all here out front. So I go in there to check that, and there was nobody in the room. But I did see, because that led to the bedroom, I guess would be the master bedroom, and then there was a door on the back side of that that was closed, and in through there was a bathroom. And it just didn't look right.
I ask if you could please be handed what's been previously marked exhibit number 5.
Can I get a drink?
If you could look through those photographs.
Yes, ma'am.
And do those photographs accurately show the condition of that master bathroom when you entered it on August the 10th of 2017?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it does.
I could have that back and ask you to point out some of the things that caught your attention. Showing you what's marked as Exhibit 5A. Do you know what observations you made?
Yes, ma'am. The first thing that I saw was the pane of glass in the sink. So I saw the pane of glass in the sink. I was like, well, where could that come from? So my attention immediately went to the window, and I saw the ripped curtains that were there. And then in front of the window, I see shelving and stuff that's knocked over. And what you can't see in this picture, which I imagine she's going to get to, is right below here is the toilet. And the shelving is actually laying on the toilet.
Now, you've shown the torn portion of the curtain. What, if anything, did you note about the positioning of the bottom of the curtain and the bottom of the window area?
Yeah, the curtain being flipped up like that, it's not the way the curtains in my house are. So my first thought was, wow, this is potentially the window that our perpetrator exited through.
And I'm showing you now for the record, Exhibit 5B.
Yes, ma'am, that's just a more zoomed out shot of what we were just looking at, because you can still see the curtain up in the window.
And is this the area you were talking about, the shelving or this metal object being?
Yes, yeah,
on
that's where I drew the arrow just a second ago. That's the shelving they're laying on the toilet.
Now, when you looked at this bathroom, did it appear that it had been used to store certain items? And I'm showing you picture 5F. Or did it have other objects in it?
Yes, ma'am, there was clothes in it, vacuum cleaner. I think there was a ceiling fan on the floor. Might have been a bucket inside of the shower area.
Showing what is photograph 5G.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm showing you what is Exhibit 5D, also is marked with the number 4. What is this showing here? What is this object here?
In the bottom center?
This.
Yeah, okay, yeah, this is the ceiling fan. It's the blade of the fan here in the center section. And that's the shelving. The window would be just to the top of this. No, there it is. Photograph. So that's basically, if you're standing at the toilet looking at the window, that's what that picture is.
What did you do when you noticed the
I asked for someone to process that area as well, because that was an area that hadn't been marked or processed yet, or even made mention to be processed as far as I know.
Did you have any further involvement in this case? Or where did you go after observing the scene?
Well, after seeing the inside of that, my natural curiosity after seeing the window and the window pane removed and the curtain hanging through it and thinking somebody exited from there is, well, let's go see what's on the other side of the window. Because I've had it where people have dropped things. Sometimes a wallet, I've actually had wallets fall out of people's pocket and they're just laying right there outside the window. So I went to the other side to go look.
And was that area secured by crime scene tape when you walked there?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you notice any objects lying around or noticing anything particular?
There looked to be some pry marks on the back of the window, some little indentations on the bottom of the windowsill, both on the left and right side, and they seem to be about in the same space either way, on each side.
Did you make any other pertinent observations while you were there at that scene?
I believe there was a chair outside that might have been being used for that the crime scene tape was running through on that area out there.
Do you have any idea where that chair originally came from?
I do not. I remember there being some talk about finding out where that came from, maybe from the homeowners or whatnot, to see if that was, is that something that's been out there? Is that a step that was used to get up? And talking with the officers who initially responded, who used it to put the crime scene tape on, well, where'd you get that? But I don't know the answer to that.
After you made your observations at the scene, did you assist by going to the Madison precinct and being present for the questioning and interviewing and gathering of information from family members?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm not going to ask you anything that any of those family members said because that would be hearsay, but can you describe the level of cooperation and demeanor of, first of all, Ms. Velasquez? Velasquez.
Total cooperation throughout by the entire family.
Would that include the father, Marlon Ortega?
Yes, absolutely. Father, sister, mother, preacher, everybody that was there, I think those were the ones that I had involvement with and talking to. And they, wanted to do more than what we asked them to do.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Right across.
Detective Hafley, do you recall what time you actually responded there on the scene?
No, sir. I know it was late at night, but I don't know what time.
So other officers arrived sometime after 6 p.m. in relation to that, was it dark, was it daylight?
I believe it was dark when I got there.
Do you believe maybe it was several hours after the scene had been discovered?
If you're saying other people were there at 6, then yes, sir.
Just assuming maybe other officers arrived sometime after 6, it was definitely within after dark. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
This was August, so it probably didn't get dark till after 8 o'clock. Is that fair to say?
That's probably about right.
So several hours after the scene had been secured.
Yes, sir.
And do you think you were the first one to see the inside of that bathroom?
I believe so.
Even though it had been secured for several hours?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
And other detectives had already been on the scene?
Yes, sir.
And the outside of this trailer, you went and looked at the window. The window on the outside was still intact, wasn't it?
Yes, sir, I believe the outside part was, yes, sir. It had like a storm window on it. Didn't have a screen, but it had another piece of glass back there.
And it was almost completely closed, is that right?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Did you direct people crime scene investigators to take samples of the outside of that window? Were you the one that did that?
asked for the room to be processed and the window, everything that was in there, anything we could process to do. People who do the processing are professionals. So we tell them, you know, what we need processed and what we're looking for, and they know the proper things to do generally.
Whether other officers had already been in and out of that bathroom in the hours before you got there, you just don't know.
No, I don't know. It was the only door that was closed in the whole place. And the people I asked, nobody could say for sure if anybody had been in there.
Did you look for any shoe prints outside the home, around that area, that window?
I don't remember that. I would imagine we did, but
You weren't involved in that.
right, no, sir.
What about the processing of that chair that no one knew where it came from? Did you ask the chair to be processed?
I remember there being discussion about that, but I don't know if it ever was or if that was just a photograph to the family as to, you know, where is this normally, is this yours?
And you yourself weren't involved in the collection of any of that evidence there on scene?
No, sir, I did not collect anything.
And you weren't involved in the questioning of any of the neighbors?
No, sir, I don't believe I spoke to any of the neighbors.
That's all.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Detective. You're
Yes.
excused.
Thanks, sir.
Do you have any other witnesses
We do
waiting?
not, Your Honor. Our next witnesses will be quite lengthy, and we've taken all of our short witnesses at this point.
Okay, well, that means it's time to go, folks. We're gonna start hopefully at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We try to get here about 8:45. Do not look at, local news, and do not do any research or discuss this matter with anyone. Just enjoy your evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning, okay? Have a good evening. All right.
We'll reconvene tomorrow morning at 9.